Hold on, I'm trying to. So I'm trying.
It sounds good, bro. He can hear you loud and clear, bro. Very clear. Sure, am I alright to go live, DZ?
Output is also received wireless speaker as Wasmert. Push.
What's good, everybody? How are we? Can you all hear me okay? We are live. We're having a bit of technical difficulties with DZ's headset. He's able to hear, but he's able to speak, and we can hear him, but he can't hear us at the moment. So he's currently just figuring that out. We're just going to give him a second to get his bearings. What's good? And yeah, until he's got his bearings, we'll probably just be slow on the intro, burning slowly through the intros. Please spam them emojis if you can hear me okay. Let us know in the chat if everything is good, if the sound is loud and clear. We're so excited to be here. Third episode, guys, of the Company of Gamers podcast. Third episode in, and yeah, absolutely stoked to be
guys,
here.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, DZ. Can you hear us?
Fill this.
DZ?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Let's try this again.
He still can't hear us.
Oh, no.
We just gotta roll with this whilst he's there in the background. Yeah. Throw DZ some love, guys, in the chat. Show him your support. Help him through this technical difficulty that he's going through. He's got this. Glad everything sounds good. I'm so happy to see people here. Caesar, Exposito, absolute buzzing to see you in the chat. Buck Roger, my guy, always here. Ice Queen Gaming, so happy you're here. Thank you so much for being here. We can hear you. Can you hear us, DZ?
No, it's not even working.
This sucks.
Hey, fucking.
We can hear you, bro. Yeah, we'll just try through
you
this.
guys though.
This is awesome. This is not so awesome. Not sure what we can do here.
You gotta do this one more time. Okay.
He's in the middle of figuring this out, guys. I thought we'd get the show started because you guys were waiting and didn't want to have you guys waiting too long. So yeah, we'll just ride with it.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yep. Can you hear us, DZ?
Yeah, I can hear you guys fine.
Woo! You sound slightly disappointed, bro. Did you not manage to get your headset working?
No, so I'm using the Pulse 3D wireless headset on my PC, and I've been trying to configure it to work with. And I'm not able to get the sound to configure, so I'll probably have to figure that out another
No
time.
problem. See, I use my Pulse 3D headset for my PS5, but I use my old PlayStation Gold headset for my PC, and it works a treat. I've just never tried my Pulse 3D headset for PC, so maybe.
I mean, it's the same plug and play situation, but for whatever reason, my PC's just weird with picking this stuff up, and I've been trying to configure it for the last 20 or so minutes. But it's cool. Let's jump into this.
Let's do this. Right. So, chat, Chris Righteous. I'm so happy you're here, my guy. There's a window for you if ever you want to jump on. Chris, you're always welcome, dude. Always extend the window to my fellow TSGP brothers. If you don't know what that is, it's the Saltiest Gaming Podcast every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, Chris is a member of that panel as well as me, and it's a pleasure that he's here, buzzing. Shaky Shako, an avid supporter of this podcast since its launch just 3 weeks ago. Mad happy you're here. Compost Smurf, same to you, brother. Very glad you're here. Ice Queen Gaming, what's good? FSN, so glad you're here. Thank you. And we have a guest tonight, guys. So before we introduce the channel, Mercury Machines, so glad you're here too. A1 PlayStation, Pegasus, very glad you're here, my guy. Thank you for being here. Royal Zano, my brother, thank you for being here. So glad you're here. So we have a very special guest. You will have probably seen him in the on Twitter, giving more frequented videos recently, and they always deliver. He's the classy savage, I'm calling him. He's like, yeah, he's a very, very classy guy, but savage as well at the same time in how he delivers his content. Great entertainer. Give it up for OT. What's good, brother?
Hey, thanks everybody. This is my first podcast, and I'm so humbled, to be honest, to be here. So I thank Wooly especially because he's the one who encouraged me to speak. To be honest, I used to put videos just blank, but he encouraged me, and that's why I began. And now I'm here.
Oh, that's that's really encouraging. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I'm not sure who it's from. I'm just gonna test for a second. Hello. No, it's all good. I don't know. I heard it then. Don't know who it's coming from. Hello.
Probably me.
I don't know.
Probably me.
Well, it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, I can listen. I just have to listen to the sound of my own voice, which sucks. But it's I'm not a fan. Not a fan of my own voice, but it is what it is. I fancy doing a podcast, Wooly. A genius. If you don't like your own voice, but well, it is what it is. OT, so glad you're here, my guy, and that's really encouraging to hear. I'm so glad I was able to encourage you doing that. If you don't follow OT, be sure that you do. His description's down below. He's making these videos, and he's going to no doubt be giving some of his analogies, his timeless analogies tonight, which will be great to hear. Great for us all. Now, to the panel members, very happy that all are here. We have Michael, Leviathan, and DZ. Let's start off with Leviathan. What's good, my brother?
Not much today. Just been pretty relaxed besides being busy the entire morning. Haven't got to play any games in the past 2 days, but that's okay.
Oh, that's good. Well, I'm glad you're here, my guy. And yeah, I've not been able to game much either. What gaming I have been able to do, I've been playing a lot of that that Chivalry 2. Oh, that is a game, I tell you. That's crazy fun in Ratchet and Clank, obviously. But glad you're here, Lev, and thank you for being here, mate. Michael, what's good?
Not too bad. I'm feeling esteemed for the future of gaming. I'm just getting excited because it's coming down closer and closer to the confirmed PlayStation experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to that. And I've been working, haven't had much time for gaming, but I just leave my PlayStation on. And whenever I get a chance to, I might play a bit of The Last of Us Part 2.
That's epic. Do you prefer the 60 FPS patch?
Absolutely, because for that game, you really need it when you want to get the enemies on the dime with a pistol. You want to get them headshot while they're moving. You're going to need that 60 FPS patch, and it works wonders.
Epic times. Well, so glad you made it, Mike. Everybody in the chat, let's just take a moment to appreciate the fact that Michael is currently up in the very early hours of the morning. It's 6:15 in the morning right now for him, I believe, in Australia. Yeah. And if he hasn't caught a little power nap, he's probably done an all-nighter to be here. So yeah, if he starts slurring his words, no, I'm joking. But on a serious note, it's great that you're here, Michael. Thank you for being here, dude. It means a lot.
Appreciate it.
Speaking of grateful for being here, DZ, what a legend. Thank you for coming yet again, showing your beautiful face and gracing us with your presence. It is a privilege to have you on the show, as always. How are you, dude?
I'm great, man. I appreciate you for having me back. This one worked out with my schedule, so I can't complain. I'm happy to be here, and yeah, it's been a relaxing weekend. I actually have this weekend off, and I'm not necessarily working. So I've just had some time to I so what I've been playing, I finally got the platinum on Returnal. Um, I also bought a Series S to complement the PlayStation, and I haven't really set it up yet because also two other games dropped this past week, Intergrade and Ratchet. So while the Series S is here and it's chilling, I've just been just now starting to get through Ratchet, and after that, it's what is it? It is Integrate, and then Series S trying to dive more into the world of Xbox. So we'll see how things go.
That's epic. That's epic, my dude. For those who don't know, DZ is working hard on a game. He's a game developer, Fireslug Studios. Be sure to check them out. Just type in Fireslug Studios in Twitter, and bear with me. I'm just Gaming Despair is in the chat. He's shown. I wasn't expecting him, but I'm glad he's here. He said he'd let me know if he could make it, and I hadn't heard. But glad you're here, Gaming Despair, dude. Jump in when you can. I've sent you the invite. Thank you for coming. But yeah, DZ's a game developer working hard on a game called Ashfall. Ashbourne. Sorry. Oh no. How did I forget?
You're fine. That's totally fine. Yeah. Ashbourne's our fantasy action RPG. Plenty of stuff going on with that. If you'd like to check that out, we've released a demo which you could download from our Twitter page and also from our website, www.fireslugstudios.com. Check it out, give us feedback. Plenty of stuff going on, and that's about all I can talk about regarding that.
Absolutely. I'm just getting Game Despair into the chat because for some reason he can't join. Apologies for that. Yeah, that's awesome, my dude. I'm so glad. So, what's been the? Have you had a hurdle this week during your game development, or has it been a good week, a smooth week?
Game development is up and down. It's always you fixed one bug and then you introduce a whole bunch of other bugs, and then there's troubleshooting and stuff that goes on. Our QA and bug testers hate us every day because they identify a bug, they fix the bug, then we, create more bugs for them to fix, and so that's the ebb and flow of game design, game development. The art direction and the art team is they're working on brand new stuff, new assets. They're working on the village aspect of the demo. There's plenty of stuff coming down the pipeline, but yeah, they're all hardworking, and we're trying to put forth something special for everybody when it launches. And when things kind of even out and we're in a really, really, really good place, I'll see if I could get our chief engineer and our creative director, who are both good friends of mine, onto the show to have a quick chat. It'll be a special kind of thing.
Oh, that would be incredible. Yes, so, yeah. I am. Hear that, folks? Even more special guests on the show later down the line. DZ's planning his own guests, which is awesome. But they are indeed special guests, game developers, the more insight we can get into game development, this is why, you know, this podcast was made. We have software engineers. I mean, I feel like the most average guy here because literally I'm surrounded by talent and I'm just a gamer who likes games and decided to make a podcast. I feel a bit out of my depth, not gonna lie, but
You don't need to.
no, but it's all good. That sounds excellent, and yeah, feel free, bring them on board. It'll be great to have them with us and talk all things gaming. So by the way, it is Father's Day today. I didn't mention that, and I believe we have at least one dad.
Father, we're here. At least one dad on here.
We do, Oti. So happy Father's Day to
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
Oti, and happy Father's Day to everyone in the chat who's a dad, who has a boy or little girl, whether grown up or little or young. Congratulations, well done for being awesome, and hope you've had a fabulous day with your young ones. Oti, you had a little special comment about your daughter being so excited you're on YouTube.
Yeah. My daughter just I told her today what has happened because this Twitter aspect of my life has been a bit private. It's only my wife who has known, but now I told my daughter today that I'm going to be on a podcast, and she was so excited, and she just told me be reasonable, respectful, and have fun. So that's what I'm going to do today.
That's kind of the rules that we live by here on this thing. So yeah, man,
Have fun.
Nice.
we're happy for you.
Absolutely awesome. I'm game for that, and yeah, that's lovely to hear. So let's get this show on the road, guys. So glad you've all turned out. What a turnout! It's awesome. So today's subjects are, and I will just get up the thumbnail. Here we go. Unreal Engine 5. Is it the benchmark for all game engines? Has this set the standard? I will admit, I will confess, it's been a very busy day. I've been helping my girlfriend move all her things from her old place into the new place. So I've not been able to recap on everything discussed in the Unreal Engine demo, but thankfully with the wisdom of Leviathan, DZ, Gaming Despair, shout out to him, he's just arrived. I'll introduce you in a second, brother, and Michael. We will get through this, and I'm sure we'll unearth some exciting things about Unreal Engine 5.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely excited about this, but also we'll probably dive into the possibilities of basically, how do I say this? How will other engines, like proprietary engines at Sony Studios, how will they answer to this? How will they respond? What have they got in the pipeline? If you pardon the pun. Can
I mention something in regards to that?
Go for it, Michael. 100%.
I've actually been discovering a lot through The Last of Us Part 2. But I'm not 100% sure. Leviathan will probably be able to correct me if I'm wrong. But with the Unreal 5 engine tech demo on the PS5, they were talking about it was a form of machine learning they used for traversing the rocks, climbing. That it adapts to the climbing with a bit of machine learning to predict the movements to make them look more natural while climbing.
Yeah.
I've discovered in The Last of Us 2 they were using a proprietary solution for their own engine that especially with combat, because the amount of combat variations is ridiculous. Like, I've encountered enemies and then I've taken them down with melee about in 20 different ways, at least 20 different ways. And I had to look into it, and I found that it uses machine learning to dictate how an enemy will be taken out by using the range of movement of the body and different ways that could result in a successful attack with other variables in place. So it's as if the character is thinking what's an efficient way to take out the enemy after you put a command in.
So
It's amazing.
To break this down in layman's terms, it's similar to like I don't know, a mosquito, right? Because not a mosquito, a dragonfly. A dragonfly is classed as the most efficient predator in the world, right? And the reason for that is it doesn't just chase its prey. It actually intercepts its prey. It judges exactly where it will be. It has 20,000 some 20,000 lenses per eye, and with each lens it's able to calculate velocity, distance, and all, and it has an awareness of time, and so it can catch its prey, whereas a lion is woefully inefficient because it literally just chases it. And right now AI in gaming has been like a lion, and what Unreal Engine 5 is doing is basically saying let's go dragonfly. Is that
Yeah.
is that
100%,
basically
yes.
right? If that makes sense, guys, that's the only way I can make sense of things. Go on, Leviathan.
Yeah, so I can try to explain it a little better. So machine learning basically comes down to matrices or matrices, if you like remember that from algebra class. If depends on where you or like high school, if you did things with matrices or not. But
Sadly not. But it's basically all that green writing going down the screen, right?
it's an algebraic equation.
I get it.
And then based off of that algebraic equation, you can solve for a variable. So you can basically generate anything on the fly that you want based off of the algorithm that you create. So that's what usually machine learning is done using matrices, and then you adjust the weightings to get the best solution for what you're trying to do. So motion vectors are a popular thing for like temporal upsampling technologies and like DLSS. They use a matrix, and then based off of the weighting, they can adjust how the motion is occurring in the game. So that's one of the new things Unreal Engine 5 has, is they have their new like keyframe, like it generates keyframes dynamically for animations, which the robot in the demo uses to fire its laser.
So is there a way that you can rephrase that again, just to simplify it and for me?
So basically what they're doing is animation data has to have a set direction for every single animation used in games.
Okay.
But what they're doing is they're generating animations in real time instead of it being. So when the robot fires its laser,
yeah, I've got it. I've got it right here. The scene.
Yeah.
Doing that.
Yeah. Well, they didn't bake in the animations for it to do that. Like the hand firing itself doesn't move while it's firing the laser, but they're using their new technology to generate frames of animation so that it can change. Like it's currently happening on live stream.
Yeah. That's incredible. And
hey, by the way, Wally, I figured it out, man.
Hey, Gaming Despair, what's good, brother? It's great that you're here. How are you, man?
Just chilling, brother, man. Just gonna do the podcast real quick with you guys, and then hop on Ratchet and Clank, because man, I love that game. That game was inspiring to me, man.
Oh man,
it was a good generation leap, and for a year now, I've been telling people that what, Ratchet and Clank is gonna be that benchmark that people are gonna have to surpass, and I wasn't wrong. I've been pretty much right about it, so I'm pretty excited for what the future holds in gaming. I'm gonna play that, and then eventually, after I finish that, I'm gonna try and Platinum Returnal, and then probably hop on some indie games and just chill out and have fun for some more trophies. That's what it is.
Mate, wholesome,
Dude,
wholesome. That is what gaming is all about, my dude. I'm so glad you're here with us, Gaming Despair. We missed you last week, so thank you for being here.
Yeah, bro.
So that's fascinating, Leviathan. That so the player is basically almost a dynamic generator for completely new experiences with AI. In other words.
Yeah, so animations, a developer has to bake in the animations themselves for every. So it can be a tedious task to do because everything a character does in a game, you have to give an animation for.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it'll look unnatural. So this new part of Unreal Engine 5 gives developers an easy automatic tool that can just generate it for them so they don't have to go through that work of building an animation for it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big things they've changed, and that goes for almost every animation that they used in both demos. Is doing that they can also have more animations. Like previously, it became too tedious to do even like micro like adjustments based off of like terrain. Because if you have to do that for every single terrain in your open world game, you would have millions of animations that you have to manage. It's just easier to generate it automatically on the fly.
That's awesome.
Hey, Leviathan, if you don't mind me asking this, it's something that I've been interested in a while, and it's something that actually Michael told me that I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic, but 36 CUs is actually easier to develop because you don't have to worry about 52 CUs, right? So you don't have to write instructions for so many things, and you're wasting time and money. Is that true? Is the 36 CUs actually better? I just wanted to get this clarified because,
No,
like,
this is really cool. Quite a Q&A because it's these kind of things that it's good to have kind of an answer to these questions because we all think about them, right? So
it's because like the only reason I come to this, like the only reason I asked it, because Cortex ended up saying when I watched his last video a while back, he ended up saying that number on paper looks great, but that probably would have mattered a long time ago. But we're in an age where it's not that exactly.
So the saturation. So you don't write individual instructions. Developers don't anymore. That's usually managed by the API and engine. But workloads can only be so parallel in terms of what you're doing. Like a player input, if the player presses the A button, there's not much you do to divide that into thousands of different parallel things, right? You're limited by how parallel your workload can be. So 36 compute units can be easier in terms of saturation because you can have a lower number of independent parallel threads that you have to manage. But so that's what causes huge variances in some games in terms of performance between the PlayStation 5 and the Series X. Is it really comes down to where they stress more, because there's a thing called pixel shaders, which are tied to the individual pixel of your game that you're operating on, and you'll have millions of these. So,
like for people that don't understand saturation, like what does saturation exactly mean?
So saturation is like. So I learned it from when I was studying this a long time ago. It's like a tree soaking up water. So saturation is the tree can fully soak up all the water in the ground. Undersaturated means the tree can soak up all the water, but it doesn't have any more to soak up. It only can soak up as much as it can. And then oversaturation is the opposite, where there's too much water in the ground that the tree just isn't fast enough to suck it up. Does that make sense? So saturation's the balance point.
Gotcha. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, man. Sorry about that. I was curious about that because I didn't know what saturation was.
That's the kind of shit that we need. That this podcast is all about. You know, we're not just tied down to a strict, rigid kind of. We got to discuss this, then this, then this, then this. We keep it flowing to a light template. But that's amazing. You know, I wanted to talk about Unreal Engine 5 for a while, guys, because all the way back in, what year was it? 2019 we got the tech demo, or was it 2020?
Yeah.
2020.
2019? Was it 2020?
2020.
I don't remember.
Yes.
Hey, but Wally, the only reason I asked was because obviously I'm not very tech savvy. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
So like,
neither
I
am
ask these questions because I'm just a gamer, bro. Like I just pop in the game and that's it, and I'm good. You know,
absolutely.
That's all I do.
But this is why it's these kind of questions that are so good, because you know, at the end of the day, the perfect balance between having gamers on the panel as well as those who know so much that they have to remind themselves when explaining things to kind of remember that the fact that, you know, we might go, whoa, stop, too much. Wait, what does this mean as well? Because me and you, Gaming Despair, you know, maybe OT, I can't speak for him, I'm not sure, but we're not technologically kind of we're not technology experts, we're not developers, we're not software engineers, so this is why I appreciate this perfect balance.
And it's kind of difficult for me, man, because like, you know, I'm just used to popping in my games, but man, when it gets so technical, I'm just like lost. You know what I mean? I'm just like, what does this mean? So it's like sometimes like, can you explain it in layman's terms? You know what I mean?
100%.
Like for
100%.
crumbs like me.
I had a question. I had a question for DZ and Leviathan. I've tried to find it on my Twitter, but I just can't seem to find it. The Unreal Engine 5, when they were comparing how PCs are handling Unreal Engine 5, there was someone who noticed that it favored lower CUs, which were faster. So I was just curious how you think that would translate to consoles, because if on PC it seems to favor speed. What as a layman, I wouldn't know how that would translate to consoles, but considering PS5 has lower CUs, fewer CUs, but is a faster machine, do you think Unreal Engine 5 will be more optimized to the PS5 based on what we are seeing on the PC right now?
So to get down to the nitty-gritty of that, all engines are optimized differently for every platform and every GPU and their configurations. In their current build right now, based on what they were doing, because PlayStation has been the lead platform in which that they've worked with to design their systems around. It is the benchmark. So they've designed their their processes and everything like that to work well with a system that can rasterize information fast, that could that could perform its cakes and their cake rewrites and everything fast. And you could achieve fast in multiples of ways, right? You could achieve it with multiple CUs over the standard amount, or you could do it where you clock the CPU and the GPU frequencies faster, but you do it with a more dense cluster of CUs. And so if that's what they're noticing throughout the thing, then the answer really comes down to yes. And the reason being is simply because they've spent I would imagine the first 2 or 3 years when they started speaking with Sony about the next generation of consoles, they started to rework and re-engineer their things to how Sony was going to do it. Like in the very first, even Tim Sweeney said it. He said that Sony was their closest partner with working on this, and so that's why it was debuted first on PlayStation 5 running. And that was simply to give everybody the look that, hey, this thing will be versatile and be able to work across different things. But the optimization and everything like that came from the fact that Sony wanted to speed up the processes even farther beyond than what most people wanted. They wanted to eliminate load times. They wanted to make rasterization and CPU culling, I'm sorry, and geometry culling rapidly and on the instant so that you could free up processes to do everything. So you could rapidly draw scenes and everything while you're turning the camera and cut the scenes that you're not necessarily needing as you're turning the camera as well. So it all goes back to that. So it's a system that will work quite well on your wide linear. On your wide but dense CPUs and GPUs. But then it's also designed really well, mostly because of the optimization time that they had with working with AMD and Sony on designing the PlayStation 5 in and of itself. Lower CUs that are larger, so they could take in more. They could take in more data, do a lot more with data, but then they also sped. They increased the clock rate, the clock speeds on there, so it could dole out these instructions up to 33% faster. When used quite well. So
Yeah, so
Yeah. So
it looks like the chat says the audio is lost.
oh no.
So sorry, guys. Whoops. Sorry, guys. My bad. I'm back now. I was just rambling to Leviathan, but with a pointless illustration and analogy. You go for it, Leviathan. What were you gonna say, brother?
Okay, so it's hard to tell exactly what Unreal Engine 5 is stressing without doing like a cross-sectional analysis of basically how it runs on different GPUs. So I'd have to dig deeper into just the demo. I didn't bother yet because it is technically the early access build of it. But based off of what it stresses, I would suspect it's coming down to cache bandwidth is probably the biggest, most important factor in performance. Like the difference is because a lot of engines, you will find your compute units won't scale. Like if you double the compute units, you'd only get about 50% more performance.
So
And
there's
that's usually
diminishing
the biggest.
returns. There's diminishing returns because of power distribution and stuff like that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because what happens is your caches get saturated quicker, and then you have to rely on your memory, your RAM, instead of the cache in higher CU, higher SM environments. So I suspect that's the biggest thing. and it really depends on optimization. What the general rule of thumb that I have found is about 50 to 60% of like your CU increase. Like if you double your CU count, a typical engine will lead to about 50 to 60% more performance. That's generally where it is. Whereas clock speed usually scale more linearly, with doubling of performance will a doubling of clock speed will double performance. That's just what I've found with a lot of game engines. That's usually what occurs.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
apologies for the echo, guys. I think it's DZ's mic picking up the echo. DZ, just to let you know, brother, if but by all means, unmute it whenever you unmute yourself whenever you want to speak. But during like long dialogues, if you could try maybe mute your mic or something, maybe that would work better. But I'm not asking you to shut up. Please don't think that.
No, that's this damn mic situation.
Yeah,
I've been trying
I know, bro. It's tough. But yeah, that's the only way around it. But it's just teething pains, guys. This is only episode 3. We've got a long way to go. But so far so good, and it will only get more refined and more polished as time goes forward. So thank you for bearing with us. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah. So
Leviathan, let me just add something. Leviathan, just coming from a layman perspective, the first Unreal Engine 5 video seemed to focus on speed. So when I was watching it, I was just amazed by how much geometry is being drawn in and the person is moving fast. But the second video seemed to not focus so much on speed. And I noticed that was the multi-platform video. So again, and I'm not trying to sound like a fanboy, but it's just that I noticed a shift in the
That's a really good point.
focus of the two demos.
I was thinking about that myself too.
So the UE5 team actually demoed, I can't remember if it was a hard drive or an SSD. Like they just demoed either a week or two ago of them running it on their PC, because that was something someone in their live Q&A asked them of, hey, can this run on PCs? And the guy was like, yes, it can run on PCs. I'll demo it right here. And then he showed that he can run that demo. It's just a different demo that they built this time to show what's actually on the screen right now, the world partition system. Because the first demo,
Hello?
out of assets.
Oh, sorry.
As they were keeping a large amount, like the environment's actually pretty small in that demo, whereas the new one is a much larger space. And like the addition of like the dark world, the new one's more streaming intensive because of the dark world shift. So that's kind of the point that they're making, is that technology wasn't implemented in the first demo. They were using traditional streaming tech in the first demo.
Okay.
Makes a lot of sense. So, guys, I wanted to broach this subject before we move forward regarding Unreal Engine 5. How is Unreal Engine 5 kind of? I'm hearing this a lot. It's revolutionizing kind of ease of use for developers in creating games. I want to know firstly how exactly does Unreal Engine 5 benefit developers to such a large extent? And then I'd like to ask, how will proprietary engines kind of match this, or will it matter? Do they need to match this, or like what are Naughty Dog doing for example? What's to stop all developers just scrapping their own engines and going straight over to Unreal Engine 5? Yeah, go for it, Michael. Would love to hear your thoughts.
Before you go, in all honesty, this is out of my depth right now, so I'm just gonna let you guys talk through it. But one thing that I did like when I was watching the Unreal 5 engine, I don't even know how engine works, to be honest with you, but I thought it was cool how they can implement like AK textures on the games, which is I thought it was pretty cool. But even then, I'm still not even sure how that works. So I'm gonna let you guys speak, man. This is out of my league, if you get what I'm saying.
I hear you, brother. Me too.
Anyway, so one of the key benefits is that with proprietary engines, they're owned by a particular company, and usually those companies are very large. And in order to form a proprietary engine, it's very, very expensive. But with Unreal 5, it's free. So smaller teams who want cutting edge efficiency to leverage maximum graphics no longer have to spend a lot of overhead on engine development. They can freely use Unreal Engine 5 and save a lot of money. And because it's so accessible, that makes development, the dreams, visions of the creators more realistic for smaller teams. So yeah,
That's awesome.
that's that part.
Hey, Michael, if I could ask a question, do you think because of the Unreal 5 engine, that you think that Naughty Dog or all the other Sony studios are gonna up their engines as well, or do you think it's
Oh,
just like
yes.
Unreal Engines? Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think they're going to recognize this and they're going to compete with it, obviously. And that's a good thing. That makes me excited for what they've got in store.
I mean, yeah. So middleware, which is what engine middlewares are, what you call third-party mass distributed engines that are used to eliminate uh, budget requirements for building custom engines. They work ubiquitously across a multitude of platforms, and they're designed to eliminate friction of having to build your own thing, take time to research, trial and error, because they provide a swath of assets. They provide a swath of tools within those things to quickly get your game up and running to prototype. And so all those things are already there, and they're in a language most of the time that a developer can rapidly wrap their head around. So these kind of changes happen these kind of changes happen every 4 or 5 years. There's a brand new version of that mass-produced middleware, and Unreal has gone through that for now maybe 15, 20 years now, roughly. So it is not out of the question that every time new breakthroughs in technology comes forth, you're going to have Epic constantly researching and building, because that's their engine. That's been their main. That's what literally got them. It got them their money. Before they were able to build Unreal Engine, they built Unreal Engine while they were building the very first Unreal game and whatnot, and then that engine just became something they exploited and decided to ship around. So yeah, their technologies move forward, and they clearly have some things within, within their engines pipelines that could support and lead the industry. But like I said, that engine has to do everything good, not amazing, not great. It just kind of raises the bar, but you have other places, right? You have other studios that build their pipelines on top of Unreal Engine, or they do a custom version of that, and they deconstruct and make it their own. And then you have the proprietary ones. So whatever Unreal Engine can do, developers will study and look at things and see how they implement it and make their own use for it. Um, you know, Unreal Engine supports machine learning, and of course, they have the demo of using nanite and stuff like that. That's all based on machine learning for facial structure animations. That's all machine learning that they do with their MetaHuman technology, right? So keep that in mind. You have an engine like Nocturnal, which powers Resistance, which powers all the Ratchet and Clanks, which powers Sunset Overdrive on 360. And no, I'm sorry, Sunset Overdrive on Xbox One. All their games, right? That just recently got machine learning integrated into its system, right? So they use machine learning. They train the CUs on the PlayStation 5 to memorize and replicate muscle deformation on the fly. They could probably use it to do, DLSS if they want. There's so many different things. So like the engine, all engines and everything, there is multiple ways to get to a solution in programming, and how you sculpt your engine, whatever you put out and demonstrate. If you're the first, you're probably not going to be the last, because others are going to see, and then they're going to adopt it to their systems, and their systems become much more advanced. So this isn't to say that like Epic isn't leading in the industry. They are, but other people in the game industry are leading with their own technologies and whatnot. And, there was the whole long argument about PlayStation 5 can't do machine learning because Microsoft said that they did it.
And look how that went.
And look at what we have, right?
Yeah, the very first implementation of machine learning
is able to if the Unreal Engine is demonstrating that it can do machine learning for motion mapping and bone structure animations and stuff like that, then those engines work on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. So like you could definitely expect that they're going to carry on and work as intended using those same things. So like, yeah, they're running things, they're Epic's doing things, but so is Insomniac, so is Naughty Dog, and we literally just have to wait to see what's going on with those things.
I had the same gist that we didn't need to kind of worry that like all games will start running on Unreal Engine 5, because at the end of the day, we don't know what the new next genified version of the Naughty Dog engine will look like, and what kind of things that they've put into place that are new. But it excites me. I can't wait to find out. Same with like Insomniac. They were just experimenting with machine learning with Spider-Man. Go on, sorry, Gaming Despair.
Hey, Wooly, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I have a personal question. Like for somebody like me that doesn't understand tech, I wanted to ask DZ, like those like me that are simpletons and stuff like that and don't know how architecture or hardware works. Could you explain to me in layman's terms, like exactly what is machine learning, or is it, what'd you call it? Jesus Christ!
Machine learning. So
yeah.
that is training a cluster an AI that's programmed within your system. To watch, learn, memorize specific actions, specific routines, specific things, programmable things within software engineering and game design, programming, right? And once you've trained those AI, you then also implement a system through matrices to now execute those things and take the load off of everything else that would normally do those by brute force hard coding. So basically you create an algorithm or an artificial intelligent algorithm that memorizes and does anything that you train it to do, and then it replicates that at runtime based on limited resources, freeing up the CPU and the GPU to do other things. So faking 4K to the point that it even looks better than real 4K. That's they're training. That's an algorithm that was specifically designed to study rendering things within on a per frame basis, rendering resolution and image quality at high resolutions and whatnot.
You know what? DZ. Just to bounce off this point, Family Man Gamer has made an incredible comment that is such a good idea, and I don't know how the panel will feel about this. I'm kind of just throwing you in the deep end here, but I want to set up it's a really good idea, and I'm pretty sure I'll take you up on this, Family Man Gamer. How about we set up a Discord channel where people can type? It's a text channel on Discord where any questions you have specifically for Leviathan, DZ, or Michael, and if they have the time, there's no pressure, and it's if and when they're not busy, feel free to maybe ask a question and wait for a response. Like when Gaming Despair asks what it exactly is machine learning. And I mean, I don't know how you guys will feel about that. You might not have the time to support that, but
I think that'd be an interesting thing to run where we have like the technical side, a technical discussion, so to speak, based on questions that people ask. And that could be a separate show in and of
like
itself.
A little Q&A.
Hey, wait. Sorry, that was my fault. I shouldn't have asked that. My bad.
What do you mean?
We got to go on through the show.
Hey, Gaming Despair, don't you dare apologize for asking questions like that. I'm glad you asked that question because it's a really good question to ask, and the best way that I've asked the same question, and the best way that I kind of understood machine learning is very similar to how DZ described it. Shout out to David Jaffe. He's an incredible guy. I sound just like Salty Gaming here because he always gives David Jaffe a shout out on the Salty Gaming podcast. But yeah, if you don't watch his content, you got to. He is an entertainer through and through, and he's awesome. He created God of War, as we all know, right? And he described AI in this way. He was playing The Last of Us 2, and he pulled open this big gate. And as the crew that Abby was with were going through, he decided to just let go of his controller. And
I remember that video.
You remember this, right? And it was just by sheer chance that in the game it's hard scripted to happen. The crank breaks and the gate falls down and slams shut before all the crew make it through. And you're stuck with this other woman. I can't remember her name, but you're stuck with this other woman on the other side. Now, Jaffe, for a moment, thought that the game dynamically responded to him letting go of the controller. He didn't realise for a minute that he was scripted. Sure enough, he later kind of gave his head a wobble and realised, hang on, this is meant to happen. But what if that wasn't meant to happen? What if it was scripted that you hold the gate open, all go through, and then it shuts and you're stuck on the other side or not? But instead, machine learning has basically taken on board the actions of the player, and it's still trying to achieve end result that is hard-coded in, i.e. the end result is you all meet up and there's this big fight, right? So the machine learning is figuring out dynamically how to get you there. And so naturally, the player responds, God damn it, Abby, I hate you. Why did you shut the gate on me? And that's kind of like way into the future. You're talking like 30, 40 years into the future maybe of game design, but that's kind of where machine learning is going. It's like the very baby steps of that specific thing where basically you've got a set kind of criteria. I want to achieve this purpose, and the developer hard codes that into the game, but then it gets the AI or machine learning to kind of dynamically tailor to the player a great experience that's unique based on the player's choices. Does that kind of make any sense, or am I just chatting rubbish?
Yeah, it's pretty cool too, actually, when I think about it that way.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So there you have it, guys. We kind of summarized that, we know Unreal Engine 5 is incredibly impressive, but that doesn't mean that other developers haven't got their own tricks up the sleeve and their own solutions. I mean, we've just watching Ratchet & Clank right now, and ray trace reflections are on each individual bolt. I mean, you can zoom in on bolts, and you can see a full reflection. And they made a tweet about triangles, and I don't know enough to understand this, but apparently no matter how close you zoom in, kind of just that space of what's on screen is rendered, so memory it's not taking up too much memory, and so you're able to get pretty much incredible levels of close-up detail when it comes to ray tracing in that engine. So things are moving forward at such a pace we can't keep up, and we can only speculate right now what's going on, what's going to happen in the future. But I'm bloody damn excited, and that's kind of the point. It's all about where gaming is going, and it's advancing fast. And Unreal Engine 5, like DZ said, it's a huge step in an awesome direction, and others are taking just the same kind of steps, but we'll see different results, and I'm excited for that. So yeah, I hope that was good for you guys, that you enjoyed.
Oh, can I just add a point?
Go for it, OT.
So the thing is, I think people need to manage. Again, this is coming from a layman perspective, because what I do for a living is architectural visualization. So I use 3D Max, V-Ray, and sometimes when I want to do virtual walkthroughs, I use Unreal Engine 4. But what I can tell you is that Unreal Engine is sort of like a jack of all trades. So what we are seeing with Unreal Engine 5 is impressive. But if you even look at that Digital Foundry review, it is heavy. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, when you actually apply it to a video game on a console, people need to manage their expectations of what will you actually see. Mm-hmm. And the most impressive thing about the Unreal Engine 5, let's say, is Lot Zero. I don't know how to explain it, but when you have, let's say, a rock in a game, normally what happens is the rock is made into 3 types of lower detailed models. So Unreal Engine gives you the illusion that Lot Zero is being used. The highest model is being used consistently. But that doesn't mean an engine like Naughty Dog's, if you were in a room and looked at the kind of detail you would get from, let's say, Naughty Dog's PS5 engine, in a single room, you might find the PS5 engine for Naughty Dog actually looks superior. So the thing is, why I'm saying that might happen is because when you look at Digital Foundry's review of Unreal Engine 5, they said it's surprisingly heavy. So I would not be surprised if you find a Naughty Dog game actually looking better. Maybe the LOD switches will not be as impressive as Unreal Engine 5, but the look will be superior.
No, Odie, like, I could agree with that. Like, there was a saying, you can have something that's a jack of all trades, right? But just because you're a jack of all trades means that you're good at a lot of things, but that doesn't mean you're good at just one thing. So I can understand exactly what you're trying to say right now.
Yeah.
So
this is why we pay you the big bucks, OT. This is why we pay you the big bucks. That's great.
I mean, this is,
hell yeah.
Once again, like I said, when you're developing for one platform, you kind of get very familiar with its strengths and their weaknesses, and you can tailor the engine specifically to that, to those needs. And it's not just to the needs of the system, but to the needs of the game, right?
Yeah.
Perfect example. Unreal Engine does not support cars. Does not support bikes in their games. They don't. They only support vehicular movement through cars and trucks and ATVs, but not through bikes. So the developers, Ben Studios, had to build specific instruction to deal with bikes, along with assets for bikes. Like, they never had a bike, so like literally they had to design a car and then design the car and code the car to work in like a dual motor, in a dual wheel sense. They had to code for that.
Yeah.
They also had to shrink the actual car asset down to a very, very small thing, and then they parented or as we say, attach. I mean, and they attached another thing to it and made made it a child. So basically, um, in like Unity and Unreal Engine and many other engines, when you have an asset that you want to be magnetized, attached to it, we say we parent and we child. So like if you have one object that's small and you want it to be attached directly to the thing, you would parent it. You parent it to the larger object, and that smaller object would now become a child of that thing. So it goes any and everywhere, and it adapts the behaviors that you code for it. So, fun fact
That
about
means the car would need one hell of a large hitbox relative to the size of it being shrunk down to
yeah,
account for the bike.
yeah,
Kind
yeah.
of
I
funny when you
So,
think
remember
about it.
Days Gone developers complained about not being able to make the bike. I remember that. Yeah, what Dizzy is saying is correct.
yeah. So, like I
Yeah.
said, engine needs are ubiquitous. They'll work on the minutia for everything, and they just have to do it well enough that another developer can take it and really stress it and use it in better ways. Um, but that's just the engine use on a system level. Then you have to have it based on the engine has to work for you on a game design level too. And so designers will go into an engine and tweak it. And if they can't do something on it, they'll add their own shit to it.
Yeah.
Perfect example. Ben Studios and their bike situation for Days Gone. Another example,
Yeah.
uh, Housemark. Housemark was one of the design motifs for Returnal was tentacles. Um, and their tentacle system is voxel based and everything, and it spawns all that. They tried to create or find things within Unreal Engine 4 to replicate the tentacle system and the voxelized system that they use for their engine. And when they couldn't, you know what they literally said? They couldn't find anything. It was going to take too much work to build that system within. So you know what they did? They took their proprietary engine, Amos, and then they met up with Epic, and then both Epic and them built a plugin that would assimilate all of what Kama does onto.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like I said, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's exactly how. So they're running two engines concurrently on the system to do different things, and the engines will sit and talk to each other. So, people, like Oti said, people need to manage their expectations of what the engine can do, because that engine was designed to look and run a specific way and run that way specifically for that demo, for those demos.
Yeah.
And so what developers are going to be able to do with it will wholly depend on the very needs of their game on their particular system. And they're going to have to design and code to it. So like you won't get that demo kind of thing for every game, because every game is going to use it for different things. Like Fortnite looks vastly different from that Unreal 5 demo that they demonstrated last year, May, right? So when that, and they're porting Fortnite to that. So Fortnite will start to use some of those things. Not all, but they'll use some of those things because Fortnite has a very specific type of system where they run at, and they have a very specific art style. So you also got to, like I said, the design process is going to be very specific for what an engine requires, and it's all based on what the game needs. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's really well thought out, and it explains it perfectly. I mean, Insomniac said they're just touching the tip of the iceberg with their engine and what's capable. So yeah, it's an exciting time, guys. I'm not gonna lie, I'm buzzing. So now this next subject, and it's certainly speculatory to say the least, but I wouldn't say it's a tinfoil hat kind of experience, guys, because There is so
I'm
much.
just gonna mute myself right now so that you could take fun at that, because I have not been following the abandoned thing.
I'm gonna give you a quick recap, a quick rundown, and it's really funny. I mean, Hideo Kojima and Jeff Keighley are just trolling us right now, completely trolling. But it's gotten a bit absurd, right? Basically, this video game Abandoned. If you don't know, it was kind of elusively there was a trailer revealed. I'll show you now. Abandoned trailer. There was a trailer revealed, and it was launched. The date that it was made live, kind of was like on the anniversary of PT or some crazy shit. It was sorry, just accidentally entered the music there, and basically it's from this mystery team in Amsterdam that there is only one name under Hassan Karaman, right? And he's the project leader and designer and developer of this mysterious game Abandoned. Now, it turns out that in Turkish, if you translate Hideo from Japanese to Turkish, it's Karaman, right? And Hassan literally means waiting for. So waiting for Kojima, basically, waiting for Hideo. And it's in the Netherlands, and long story short, this team that's in the Netherlands, well, Hideo Kojima mysteriously formed was hiring in the Netherlands. He has a studio in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. And there's a lot of speculation that this game is actually Silent Hills. And there's loads of kind of speculation like this could be Silent Hills, because, I mean, this font here that you can see, Abandoned, that font is actually the font of Antonio, right? San Antonio, there's a road called Silent Hills.
Hey, Wooly, I think you cut off.
What? Am I cut off?
Yeah, you cut off. Yeah.
What's going on? Can nobody hear me?
No, we can hear you now.
All right, phew. This font, Abandoned, is Antonio, and in San Antonio there's a road called Silent Hills. I mean, there's just so many crazy coincidences to the point where it's verging on insanity. Never has a game had so many kind of references to and relations to and coincidences relating to a specific developer, from the name, its translation, to the date. I mean, this game was scheduled for its original release date, or in the same. I think this game began development exactly on the day of when PT was released, and there's loads of dates like that, and I don't want to get into all of that because I personally believe I need to get all the receipts up to explain. It's crazy to explain to you guys like all the information, and I wish I had the time to do that today.
Interesting history in regards to it of what Kojima did before.
Pardon?
Kojima actually.
Hey, Michael, go ahead.
What happened is one sec. Just give me a second. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll go real quick. It's kind of crazy too, right? Like when people were using Google Maps to find out, like, where this area was at, and they found a street called Silent Hills, and then you're trying to add the dots in, but you're like, no, that can't be true, man. It's like so much stuff out there that people are looking into, and you're just like, man, it has to be a Silent Hill game. You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't even know what to make of it. I'm just entertaining it. I love it. I love the whole idea that people are going out of the way, just to, pretty much just to entertain the whole idea. But it doesn't seem unbelievable. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the people are saying, that they outright denied any affiliation with Konami, but the same thing happened with Moby Dick Studios 7 years earlier, where Moby Dick Studios refused that it was the Phantom Pain was a Metal Gear game, and Jeff Keighley denied that Moby Dick Studios was actually Kojima, and sure enough, they were trolling. They were flat out lying, but it was for the sake of the game. It was for the sake of the troll, right? But I mean, if I could just get up a bit of information right now, there's a Reddit post that collects that says collected all this coincidental proof, and I don't want to spend like half an hour going through all these coincidences. I'll name a few to summarize it all, because I've got a list here now, and this is really useful actually. I'll show you the list. I'll get it up. Here we go.
All right, Wally. Hey, while you show us that, I want to ask you a question real quick.
Go for it.
I was listening, by the way.
Percentage wise, like, how do you think this is real or not? Like, percentage wise,
I'm literally 99.5% convinced, and I sound really unconvincing right now because I didn't have these receipts up. I mean, I did some homework myself, and it blew my mind. But now that I've got the list up, it'll be a lot better, and I'll be able to articulate better why. But I don't really want to get into all this conspiracy too much. I want to talk about Abandoned in a different context as well, and something a bit more relevant.
Before you say the name Abandoned, one of my friends, he actually said maybe Abandoned is the name that is going to be Silent Hills. The name is going to be called Abandoned for like that specific title, and I was like, you know what, that actually might be right, but who knows? I don't know. I'm not even sure, but you know, it is what it is. But sorry, Wally, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, brother.
No problem. So here's a list that you can see. For example, Hideo Kojima used a fake studio when teasing Metal Gear Solid, Phantom Pain, and PT. So this is a pattern of behavior from him. 7780 Studios, and also Moby Dick Studios for Metal Gear Solid 5. We know that PT was abandoned, like you said, but it was abandoned a year exactly when the abandoned trailer was released, exactly on the day, which is another crazy coincidence. That the abandoned trailer released. The animated PS logo that plays ahead is the direct opposite of Blue Box Studios logo. It's literally PlayStation kind of inverted from white to black and black to white, and it looks identical. And also, Kojima's recent tweets contain the word Silent Hill. He was listening to...
Wait a second. Could you go back to the thing about the logos one more time?
Yes. So the... Oh, can't show you that. So here...
By the way, Wally, I don't want to bring up conspiracies either, but I remember a good friend of mine ended up telling me there's no such thing as coincidences. You know what I mean? So they kind of tend to happen sometimes. So, you know what I mean? Hopefully it is a Silent Hill game.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry about that.
Well, Blue Box Studios logo, it looks like this, right? It's a black box with white Blue Box Studios underneath. And it looks identical to kind of in terms of structure and alignment with the PS logo. But what's interesting is during the recent Death Stranding teaser for the Ultimate Edition, the main guy, Sam Porter Bridges, he's wearing a blue suit. He gets into a box and he smiles at the camera and kind of winks at the camera cheekily. And he's wearing a Netherlands flag on the back of his suit. So here is a blue suit.
Oh, okay.
Right, so it's starting to fit together now, right? Because like if I show you the trailer, Death Stranding director's cut, have a look at this. I'm gonna get this up just to show you guys.
I think we should know though that Kojima Productions set up a satellite branch within of developers within
the Netherlands. Not
just there, but within the same city as Guerrilla Games to work on Death Stranding.
Oops, sorry.
That's very true. So maybe this was just a homage to that, to thank Guerrilla for
I've got
their support.
something I found out too. With the cardboard box in one of the Metal Gear Solids, I have a picture where it's got oranges on the box. So those oranges are reminiscent somehow of a Metal Gear Solid game. Because one of the Metal Gear Solid, he actually uses a C box, cardboard box, that says oranges on it, and it's a box for oranges.
Yeah, and also Oranji is a football team in the Netherlands as well. So I don't know.
Wow,
it's bizarre. It's bizarre.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's in a blue suit. He gets into the box, and I know this is outrageous, but it's all of them stack up together, right? He sees the box, and he just randomly, like in typical. I just thought this was just typical Kojima, just being weird and wonderful like Kojima always is. He's in a blue suit with a Netherlands sticker, and he jumps in the box. Right, so it's just so random. He's there, like, what the hell?
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to dip out because it's Father's Day and I gotta go meet up with my dad and
all right, brother,
kind of hang out and stuff like that.
Congrats,
so,
mate. Happy Father's Day to your dad, and yeah.
Happy Father's Day to everybody. Michael, Odie, DZ, Leviathan, man. Take care, brothers, man. Take care, right?
Follow Gaming Despair
Hopefully,
on Twitter. Where can we find you, bro?
Just at Gaming Despair. Just at Gaming Despair. Even on PSN, you can follow me at Gaming Despair. I don't care if you guys follow me. It doesn't really bother me. But yeah, I just picked up a couple indies. I'm trying to finish Returnal and Ratchet and Clank. I'll get down, with that as soon as possible, probably tomorrow. And yeah, man, next time for the next show, I'll hop on and I'll have actual time because it's the day for my dad. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm gonna chill out for that. All right, my dudes. Everybody, take care. Wally, thanks for having me on, brother.
Pleasure, bro. Pleasure.
Everybody, peace out, man.
Take care.
I apologize, guys, if I'm not explaining this very, very well. T-Rock, what's good in the chat? It's great that you're here. Nelson Gaming, awesome that you are here too. But yeah, I mean, there's that teaser, which is one thing. Basically, Hassan Karaman literally translates into his initials are the same as Hideo Kojima. Karaman literally means Hideo in Turkish, or hero. And so there's another strange coincidence. And yeah, the dates as well. Oh, and also this Hassan Karaman, he owns, as well as being a developer, he owns an app, right? A fitness app. And this description of this app literally says personal training and in brackets PT programs. It includes PT. In the brackets. My God. So I mean, mate, this is all reaching, but like, but when you really take the time, this is what I'm trying to get at. When you take the time to look at all these coincidences, it's crazy, right? So what I kind of wanted to ask you guys is this insane hype surrounding this game that's been happening this last few days, all because of this trolling and all this conspiracy. It's brought kind of the community together, right? It's been a really fun time for the community to kind of talk about this and have this conspiracy and add to it and research and share each other's thoughts. And one IGN editor, former IGN editor, basically condemned all of this, saying that it's condoning outright lying to consumers and a bit of a killjoy in my opinion. But I just wanted to ask yourself, do you think it's good, like, because the studio here have deliberately participated in this trolling. They keep dropping weird hints. Literally just yesterday, Konami, or was it Hideo Kojima on Twitter, literally it was Konami. Konami saw a picture of Hideo with a mustache and they said he looks Turkish with that mustache. And they're following each other, and it's like he looks Turkish. Well, Karaman is Turkish for Hideo, the director of Abandoned. You see my point? It's bizarre. Hello?
Yeah, for me, when I'm looking at this thing, I just think it is classic Kojima marketing. The guy normally has, at some point he started marketing using weird ways, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's not really lying. By the time they're telling you to pay for the game, you will know who's making the game. But I think DZ has a point that I feel like if this game is truly being made by Kojima, it's being made by the Netherlands team. Kojima has another game he's working on at home. So somehow I don't think his Japanese team is making this. I think it's being made by the
That's a really
Netherlands
good point.
branch.
Is that what you were getting at, DZ?
Less into that and was just trying to like stay clear. I mean, anything that's made by either of his studios or the satellite branch or whatever. And anything that's made by that is obviously going to have the Kojima touch. So like he's going to be involved in any and everything because literally that's just Kojima in a nutshell, right? He's a self-proclaimed, almost overindulgent in himself developer, and he's a legend for being that eccentric and very much into himself. Like you think about it, Death Stranding is a game he made, produced, and was fully involved with. He got all the freaking freedom in the world. Sony literally gave him the keys to the house, the record label, the tour of the whole production thing to pick, choose, and refuse what engine he wanted to use, and then not just use the engine, he had free reign to customize, improve, take apart, demolish, rebuild, and then put out this new Decima engine. So like you look at this and you see him come back with Death Stranding director's cut. I mean, the absurdity to think that Sony got in his way that he couldn't release a director's cut the first time, and that game literally is a director's cut because it's just absurd. But that goes to show you that any and anything that he touches will be very, very Kojima, and like I'm not a part of this tinfoil hat, thing and conspiratorial deep dive into the mystery behind Blue Box and Abandon, but this does spookily sound and look very Kojima, and we have evidence from the past to show that it is. But like me for myself, I'm just whatever with it. Like I'm hoping that it turns out the way that you guys want it, so that it could be that way, and I'll play regardless of whatever it is.
Amen to that.
I was not a Kojima fan until I actually played Death Stranding, and I've gone back and played some of the stuff because like I got Metal Gear Solid 4 and I played it and I was just like, okay, and it was dead on me. So I'm more of a kid. Having played and played to complete and understand Death Stranding, I could say that I'm a Kojima fan based on that game because of how well it was done. Yeah. So
I need to finish. Let me just add one more thing. When it comes to COVID and how it's affected video game developers, I think we've realized that Insomniac, I think, more or less spent half the time with Ratchet, at least the last 1 year, not in the office. So that means the director is virtually communicating with everybody. So that means it got me thinking, like, for instance, if I wanted a Bloodborne 2 to be made by Bluepoint, at this point, we don't really need Bluepoint to be in Japan. So the director could be Japanese, the game is being made in America. So it got me thinking, maybe Kojima, when he was talking about COVID has forced things to change, new ways of thinking, new ways of working, it would be interesting if that is how he's communicating with the Netherlands office because in reality, there'd be no difference with the team in Netherlands and the team in Japan because he isn't going to the office. So it could present very interesting combinations of directors from different parts of the world being used to make games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what? You're speaking with such sense. And interestingly, Konami are kind of teasing that they're now going to be releasing Silent Hill soon. They keep saying stay tuned. keep showcasing Silent Hill. To say they've been subtle is like I don't know, saying a gnat weighs a ton. They really have not been subtle in any sense of the word. Pretty much confirmed Silent Hill is happening. But yeah, I'm glad to hear your thoughts on that, and I'm glad you can, even if you're not into all the conspiracies and stuff, you can clearly see kind of evidence that this could very well be a Kojima game, even if it's not made by his Japanese studio, which is exciting to say the least. What I did want to talk about regarding Abandoned, though, is that it is actually a PS5 exclusive. This has been hammered down time and time again by the studio. So that being said, what has this? Can we now let go of this outrage that a lot of people have been running with? That PS5 is a cross-gen only console, despite Ratchet and Clank just releasing last week. And you were saying 2 weeks ago, DZ, we don't need to worry. The first 2 years, cross-gen is the norm, but Sony have in development right now PlayStation 5 exclusivities that are indeed next-gen. And what's your thoughts on that, my dude?
Yeah. I've already seen one of them. I hinted as much in episode 1, but like I said back in episode 1 and episode 2, the outrage regarding, cross-gen is a normal thing that happens every year, every first and second year of a new gen's console generation, sometimes even into late gen. Because to develop games on last gen becomes infinitely cheaper the moment a brand new system comes out, because the cost of development increases on the new systems, and the old systems get a depreciation in value because they cost less to make. They cost less. The development kits cost less to manufacture, and you're able to buy them in bulk, and you get a discount for that simply because of the amount of years that you've been working on these systems. So that's a common thing. It's quite easy to build up and put out a game put out a less expensive AAA game at the end of a development cycle, because your tools are matured. You already know what you want to do. You're probably in the third, fourth, or fifth iteration of that game, if you started at the very beginning. And it's cheaper because you're now getting these systems for new hires and stuff like that at a discount price, and cost of development and production is lower, because that's just how it is. So it makes sense to develop on both these platforms within the first 2 years to maximize your profit on the previous generation, and then soak up and reach out to early adopters of the new thing. And so is it a bad thing that we're in an influx of cross-gen right now? No. But it does also say that there's a hunger for, software that could show off the capabilities. And I think in this sense, PlayStation has been leading in that, because there are specific games that target the hardware and do specific things, whether it be with loading, whether it be with the haptics, whether it be in tapping into ray tracing, whether it be tapping into other things. Like, those things are there. And it kind of all sings and shines together when they're used in cases like Demon Souls, where it's displaying the highest level pixel quality that we could get from a next gen launch game, and games are going to look better than that. And then, of course, you have ray tracing done at much higher levels now, because the first 6 months ago we got something that dived into that scratched the surface of ray tracing, and they did it because their engine wasn't properly. They didn't know any optimizations for it. And now we have full 4K ray tracing, ray traced resolution, ray traced
reflections.
Reflections. Fuck. It's this weed that I smoked before. Yeah, so there's plenty of stuff, and like I said, I want to stress the gamers. The cross-gen thing is fine. It's there. It's annoying, but you're still getting native PS5 versions of those cross-gen games that are doing much more stuff. And they're running much better and offering you more choices to play and how to play the game. And then you'll also get your full fat PlayStation 5 experiences, and these things will come. Sony's been pretty good about delivering enough of those within the first year. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I'd say we've had more PlayStation 5 exclusives in the first year than we did for PS, you know, PS4.
That's absolute facts. I mean, wait it up yourselves, guys. We had Killzone, Shadowfall,
Knack,
Resogun, and although that was on PS3, and
Resogun came to PS3 later.
Yeah.
Like it was literally Killzone, Knack, and Resogun, and then a year later, literally a whole year later, we got The Order 1886, Bloodborne, Infamous.
Yeah.
And that was
crazy.
it.
And now here, like, we've had Ratchet and Clank, Demon Souls, Miles Morales, Spider-Man Remastered, Sackboy, Astrobot. I mean, and Returnal.
I mean, if we count literally on one hand, next gen exclusive stuff developed made for PlayStation, we're already one up, right?
Yeah.
We had Astrobot, which was a pack-in. We had Returnal within the first 6 months. We had Ratchet within the first 6 months. That's 3. We had Destruction All Stars. That's 4. We had Demon Souls. That's 5. You know, we're already in a surplus, and there's more of those things to come that are being announced. That'll literally launch at the end of this month. Not at the end of this month. Sorry, the end of this year.
You had me like, what?
No. At the end of this year, there's going to be stuff that's PlayStation 5 only and launching on PlayStation 5 from Sony.
This just proves, you know, in my opinion, there's no need to be outraged.
There really is no need for the outrage and whatnot, because you're gonna get those games, and then 2022 is gonna be fucking insane, and 2023 is gonna be off the fucking charts. But like 2022 specifically, this game that I saw is pegged for that year, and
Yeah,
so,
you've alluded to this before, DZ, and you know a game that we don't know is in development. We've not had announced, and you've seen this game, and you're saying it's mind blowing.
Happens on their next show, if I'm around for whenever that show may be, you know, when they announce that thing, you will know, because I'm literally gonna be screaming. I can't wait. But yeah, it's like I said, from what I saw and from what I was told and everything, when I asked questions about it from the people, this is meant for 2022, and they're just not talking about it because they wanna announce it within 6 months of launching.
I'm feeling sorry for Leviathan right now, because he's been awfully quiet, the poor guy, because he's only excited for Halo, because he's like an arena shooter.
Hey man, he's getting his time. He had his moment actually too, because like I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for
No, I'm not feeling sorry for him for that. I'm just feeling sorry that, you know, like right now he's just itching for his favorite game, and it's still not here yet, because all these games that have released so far, bar Doom Returnal. Am I right in saying this, Leviathan? Haven't really scratched that itch for you, and you're just waiting for that right time for Halo Infinite to land. I think he's AFK. Maybe he's drifted. Oh, I don't know. If he's resting, I don't know. I hope he's okay. But yeah. I mean, I'm curious. Like, I know Leviathan is most excited for Halo, but DZ, I'm guessing you're most excited for this unknown game that you refuse to tell us about.
Tell you about it because that'd be breaking friendship code and that'd be getting a specific set of people in trouble.
100%.
And that'd be breaking NDAs, which
Absolutely.
is simply what it is.
I 100%, 100,000%
You
respect.
guys will just have to wait for when they show it. You guys just have to wait for when they show it, and I won't take any freaking questions on it until it's been announced. And yeah. But 2022 is gonna be freaking insane for this game, and it's a new IP. So yeah, that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Hold on. Can I ask one question about that game? The Last of Us blew me away from a technical perspective on what it could do in terms of animation and graphics.
This is a studio that's worked with Sony for quite some time. They've released a game on their platform before, but they were multi-platform prior to.
But what I want to ask is, what is it about the game that shocked you? Was it the animation or the graphics?
It wasn't the graphics.
Oh shit!
Interesting.
That's very interesting.
It wasn't the visuals. The visuals are going to be what you expect from a studio working with Sony, having access to everything that they open the house to you for, and the knowledge and everything. The graphics are going to be fine.
It's the game design.
It's the design of the game and what they're actually accomplishing with it, and the situation, how it played out within the game was just, oh my fucking god. So
okay.
Yeah.
Would you say revolutionary?
I would say that I don't know how many other studios are attempting to do this, and they could very well be the very first at doing this specific thing, and that's been the thing that's been most amazing for me. And when it happened and when I saw it, it was just like, holy shit, how did you do that? How are you doing that?
What? This is crazy. Guys, I just want an entire podcast dedicated to try and get little snippets out of DZ.
And they were literally like, yeah, we couldn't do that 5 years ago. We couldn't do that 2 years ago. We couldn't do that on the last generation. We simply couldn't. And it took hardware like this with this specific specifications to be able to do. So, yeah,
that's exciting. Exciting times.
Wow. Yeah.
Michael, what game are you looking forward to? Besides this unknown game that even you don't know and I don't know, because I'm already excited for this unknown game. But what game?
Dying Light 2, because the first Dying Light game was fantastic. The gameplay, the gore mechanics, and the exploration, music, and feeling of the game, Day and Night Cycle, are all supremely enjoyable for me. And I really love the co-op experience in Dying Light.
Yeah.
So Dying Light 2 is something, my number one. Yeah.
That's awesome. How about you, OT?
For me, obviously we're all excited for Naughty Dog, but for me it's the next Ghost of Tsushima, because what they were already able to do with a standard hard drive in terms of speed of loading and in terms of open world was amazing. What they will do with an SSD will be revolutionary. So I'm excited by where they could go because I feel like it will be, when you go back to I think the PS3 era, the Sucker Punch was always aiming to compete with the realism of Naughty Dog titles like Uncharted 2. But of course, it's difficult to do it in an open world game. But I would like to see where their ambition is going to take us with Ghost of Tsushima 2.
Getting some nice comments in the chat. Yeah, that's great about Ghost of Tsushima. That was the first game I ever platinumed. That's how much I loved it. So I'm 100% down for that. Were you going to say something then, Michael?
Oh no, I'm very impressed with the thought. I forgot about Ghost of Tsushima, and just the thought of a second one, the photorealism of those graphics is going to really be cutting edge with what they did with Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, 100%. So last subject I wanted to touch base with you guys on is DZ. I'm interested, mate. As a developer, does exclusivity directly affect you in terms of if you're making a game exclusive to one platform? How does that affect you differently to, say, a multiplat? And should we be apologizing for exclusives, or do exclusives actually improve the gaming medium forward?
Yes, exclusives are necessary for a lot of reasons. Like I said, in terms of just having a platform, you need something to stick out and a reason to draw people in. And if you have compelling things that are exclusive to your system, you command the roost. You make the calls. You push the industry in whichever way you are able to do those things, right? This is the key thing. People didn't subscribe to Disney Plus because Disney Plus has Nat Geo or any of those things. People subscribe because Disney Plus is the only place where you're going to get Star Wars and Marvel, and those two are the biggest thing. Those two are some of the biggest brands in the world that draw people in from a specific thing. And in the same way for like Netflix and all these other things, right? So exclusives are a good thing, regardless of how some people may say that exclusives are anti-consumer. No, exclusives are only anti-consumer if you have pride and you don't want to spend money and extra things. And quite frankly, that's okay if you only want to have one thing, right? Because you're comfortable within that ecosystem.
Yeah.
But exclusives are necessary on those bases.
Bouncing off your point quickly before you continue, DZ. This argument that exclusives are anti-consumer seems so backwards to me because, well, anti-consumer to who? To the consumers of those exclusives? Well, they're consumers, right? So anti-consumer to who? Oh, you mean non-consumers? You mean those who don't own a PlayStation or an Xbox to whom those systems are getting exclusives for, right? So if you're not a consumer of that platform, then how is it anti-consumer to you? You're not a consumer. Right. So if you're a consumer and you get perks and benefits for being a consumer of that product, that's pro-consumer, right? By definition. Or am I missing something there?
Exactly. Let me go open the microwave. Hold on.
Come back.
Yeah, so
Leviathan.
Exclusives. Yeah, I was having like issues. Exclusives only cross the point of being anti-consumer when it starts to have like a monopolistic effect on the market, where you're gatekeeping content to a specific platform, and there isn't any competitors. That's when it crosses that point. Exclusives aren't inherently anti-consumer.
I'm sorry, my brother. Your mic's cutting off a little bit. I think it's due to the heat. Could you repeat that again? Summarize it again. They're not anti-consumer. They're only anti-consumer when they cross what? When they cross what?
So he said when exclusives only become anti-consumer when you become a monopoly. Yeah, monopolistic.
Yeah.
So if Microsoft is buying up every freaking thing, and all those things are exclusive to Game Pass, that's when it becomes like,
You see, what I love about Leviathan is that he's a man of few words, but whenever he does speak, it's always gold. I mean, I know it's like platinum. It's like diamond encrusted platinum, mate. And I love it. So thank you for being here, bro. I know it's probably been a long day for you, so I'm grateful and I appreciate it.
But yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exclusives are necessary. Exclusives, if you're working on one platform and one platform only, you no longer need split expertise and split workforce that would typically be an expertise in one platform, now diverting workforce and having people to make compromises or learn new things for a specific thing. So exclusives are great to have because it allows developers to hone in on one specific platform, finding their strengths 100% and also finding their weaknesses and being able to exploit them in the best possible way. That's how you get evolutions within an engine on a PlayStation game, where you'll typically see exclusives look better than multi-platform games all the time. And the reason being is because these developers have only one platform to focus for, and they can make they can make tweaks and optimizations faster than, you know, a system that across multiple, instead of doing it across multiple systems. Like Epic, that's why Epic comes out and their systems pretty much stays stagnant, or not necessarily stagnant, but the look of their engine graphically does not change. Only change does not change on engine revision, minor engine revision. It changes at every Epic engine, Unreal Engine 3, Unreal Engine 4, Unreal Engine 5. It changes based on that. Those kind of things. And those things happen every 5 to 6 years. Whereas look at Ratchet and look at Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Right? And and that consolidates itself because you have an evolution of PlayStation engine. And you had one game that was based on their PlayStation 4 version of their engine that was ported to PS5, and all the work and effort that they did with porting to PS5 benefited over the course of Ratchet's development because Ratchet simply was a PlayStation 5 exclusive from the set. So they're able to target specific things and find new things to improve the engine. Hello, um, hello, machine learning for muscle deformation. Hello, full 4K rate RT reflections. Hello, 60 frames per second performance with RT.
They were more busy. They were busy working on those additional features to implement into the already released game, rather than focusing on a port to another platform. So that's what that's that. Yeah, exactly.
So exclusives will always be a thing, and as long as, and I'm hopeful that it continues to stay in a stage where we have different OEMs platforms that provide a different experience and everything, because we get the quality games that are made for those systems, and they're typically the ones that shine through and demonstrate the best features. Fucking Astrobot, dude, like that game's a joy. That game is a joy to fucking play, and it's not just because of the PlayStation or the visuals. It's literally because of the sound implementation and the wonder and the wow, right? And
It's so beautiful.
when you get into like, I mean, how many of us can actually sit and deny how fucking amazing Gears of War looked over Resistance: Fall of Man? And those two are those two are like some of my favorite freaking games.
I'll never forget when I first saw Gears 2, when you were on top of those moving carts and you were shooting between these big giant machines that were driving really fast, and you were shooting each other, and the visuals just blew me away. The motion blur, it was like something I'd never seen before. It was like, and then Killzone, it was like Killzone versus Gears, which is better.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, so these, like I said, exclusives drive the industry forward in video games. They push developers. They raise the bar. They raise the sea level for everything, right? They raise the tide, and then every other game eventually gets to that point to where we look like, oh, that's good. You're finally up to what a standard next gen or a standard current gen game is supposed to look like and feel like and play like. So no, developers don't need to apologize for making their game exclusive.
So this
they don't owe gamers developers don't owe gamers anything for making financial decisions for their studio and how to elevate the studio's presence. They don't owe anybody that. So to that question, does Pete Hines or whatever his hour?
Yeah, I was going to ask about Pete Hines.
Yeah, does he need to apologize? No, the fuck he doesn't.
What's your thoughts on that, Leviathan?
Yeah, so I think the reason he's apologizing isn't necessarily the fact that Bethesda games are no longer coming to PlayStation. I think it's more the fact that for basically half a year after this whole deal was going on, where Bethesda was getting bought out, they've tiptoed around the issue repeatedly, and because they obviously want to put Game Pass on the PlayStation 5 if Sony allows it. So that's why they've been tiptoeing around it and not just outright saying, our games are not coming to PlayStation 5, stop asking about it. They kind of gave this false sense that, some of these games might come to the PlayStation 5, and that's really because they're trying to negotiate a deal for Game Pass. So they haven't been clear to their PlayStation fans that going forward these games are going to be exclusive. So he's apologizing for those fans that they weren't exactly fully transparent about what they were doing.
Makes a lot of sense. You got thoughts on
That's
that,
just
Michael?
what I got out of it.
Michael, do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I actually do. One thing that amazes me is how like with God of War, Shuhei Yoshida came in and the first iteration of the game they made was, in his words, horrifically bad. And they cried and they committed so much into the game. And I was just thinking about what DZ said about bugs. And there's one thing I forgot to add, that in God of War, the development, they had to rectify a total of 17,000 bugs throughout the development cycle. And I was just thinking, wow, like, it's truly a marvel, and it's underappreciated what they actually go through to make these games. Yeah.
Michael, let me just add to that point, because you talked about Shuhei, and sorry guys, I'm just taking a slightly back to that comment on.
Sorry, OT, it's great to hear your voice, bro, and yeah, go for it, 100%.
Yeah, so the issue of, is Sony serious about small devs and small games, indie games, and I'd say one of the reasons why I was so offended when Jason Schreier, Jeff Grubb were talking about how Sony seems to have abandoned indies is it was just based off hypothetical analysis from one game, Days Gone, and that's not even an indie game, being rejected in favor of a new IP, which contradicted the heading of Jason Schreier's article that Sony is not adventurous. But I'd like to say that if you want to know Sony is serious, they used the man who has taken them to the highest profitability, Shuhei Yoshida, the man who went to Santa Monica and said, God of War is not good enough, be better. That man
Yes.
who led Sony to that level of profitability has been told you have a new mandate. It is indies and external development. That should be a sign of how serious Sony is. They're not stupid enough to use a man like that needlessly. He led them to the highest profitability. So I think when you look at the data, it's very evident Sony is very serious. They even took a team like Returnal and said, hey, stop what you're doing. You go make Returnal because we believe in you. We're funding an indie to become a AAA. The next game,
And those
Returnal,
are AA studio, and
exactly.
they've put so much into that.
So that's why I feel Jason Schreier is one of these journalists who has he's creating a story. He's not reading, he's not researching. He wants to create the headline. Jeff Grubb is just someone who just goes with the wind. He doesn't even analyze. So I feel the fact that Shuhei Yoshida is in that position is all people need to know. Sony is serious.
I strongly agree. What a fantastic point you made there. That was pretty groundbreaking. The way you put it, man. Good thinking,
thanks,
man.
Yeah, no, OT, you are speaking facts, bro, and I 100% agree. Shit's crazy. But yeah, this Jason Schreier article, the fact is, Ben Studios are making their most ambitious game yet. That's their own words. Their biggest game yet. And when you look at Insomniac, they were turned away with their pitch. Insomniac approached Sony with Resistance 4, but look what they've created instead. Spider-Man 2018, Miles Morales and Ratchet and Clank. Maybe now they're making maybe now they're making a Resistance game. But they were initially, like 5 years ago, turned away from it. They was like, no, we're not having it. Too many post-apocalyptic games. We've got Days Gone and all these other games coming out that are post-apocalyptic, and all these shooters as well. No, it's not what we want. It's not what Sony want right now. And so just turning, there's got to be someone who makes those decisions, who calls them shots. And I think Sony are all the better for it. Look at this lady, man. Isn't she stunning? She's just beautiful. I don't know her name. She does the model of the girl in Forspoken, Ella Balinska. What an amazing woman. That's I'm glad we cleared that up. Exclusives are important. PS5 is still getting them. Even both first party and third party. DZ has hinted at a game he knows. We heard about a few weeks ago. We don't know what this game is, but apparently the game design is so mind blowing. He's never seen it been attempted before. Certainly to this level, and that gets me damn excited. Obviously,
one more thing I'm itching to talk about is that a lot of people have given Jim Ryan fire about talking about how the PS5, he really wants there to be exclusive to that console more than ever before, more than any previous consoles they've made. Now, he did say there will be a transitioning period for a short time, but people need to remember this. The reason why some of these games are newly being adopted for PS4 is that people need to realize we're in a pandemic, and the original plans are probably different.
Very true.
The fact we got this many exclusives as it is in a pandemic is absolutely phenomenal, and I still believe in Jim Ryan and what he's doing. It's just that I believe the COVID situation has hindered the original plan of that strong first-party exclusivity to only PS5.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. And here's some headlines for you guys. Turns out we seem to be in a time machine here, because this podcast was giving news 2 weeks ago that only yesterday has blown up all over Twitter. Demon Souls had a PS4 version originally. Well, my boy Fornatron, who was on the podcast in week 1, shout out to him if he's listening in or if he gives this podcast a listen. He is a panel member, but he can only very rarely make the podcast because of his work schedule. And the podcast schedule will be changing as hopefully my work roster will change in the coming weeks and months. So I'll be able to make better time that's more convenient for everybody. But in the meantime, shout out to Fornatron, because he said that he saw on this YouTuber, his favorite YouTuber, I think his name's I can't remember his name. I'm subscribed to him.
Are you talking about Lance McDonald?
That's the one, Leviathan. Spot on, mate. Lance McDonald. He discovered that the source code in Demon Souls to show that it was designed for the PS4, and we raised this 2 weeks ago. We were discussing this 2 weeks ago, and only now people are going crazy saying that a PS4 version of Demon Souls is coming. What do you think, Leviathan and OT? You guys, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Do you think we're going to see a Demon Souls on PS4, or do you think it's just because the fact that this game started being created when they only had a PS4 and they didn't even know the PS5 specs?
Yeah, so this game was designed, at least being aware that it might be a cross-gen title from the get-go. So the PlayStation 4 version, if it hasn't already come out, and the fact that Bluepoint has their contract up currently for Demon Souls, like there's even bugs that they couldn't even fix with Demon Souls because the contract expired with Sony, that I'm highly skeptical of a PlayStation 4 version ever releasing.
Yeah.
Like, they'd have to draft up a completely new contract with Sony just to make a PS4 version at this point. And I don't think Sony's going to go through that much effort.
Is this Bluepoint you're talking about? They would have to draft up a new contract?
Yeah, Bluepoint would have to.
Well, that's kind of also proof that Bluepoint aren't under Sony yet. There was rumors circulating that Bluepoint were owned by Sony now, but they're just very closely working with them, right?
I have a theory about that, actually.
Go on, Mike.
Do you know how with PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 in particular, we have PlayStation Now?
Yep.
I believe that it could be quite possible that it could be a placeholder for streaming the original PS3 version of Demon Souls via PS Now. Because it doesn't have any metadata of any development at all. So it could be just for a placeholder for streaming the game, the PS3 version to via PS Now to PS4.
Is Demon Souls on PS Now?
That's a good question. If it is, it could provide a little bit of plausibility.
I don't think it is, but it's still plausible for sure. What we do know
if
is
it's
that
not, then we can consider that one.
Yeah. But what we do know is that for a fact, Demon Souls began production way before PS5 specs were even known. But yeah, there's a few things there that's pretty. Sorry, were you going to say something?
Yeah, to piggyback off of what Lev was saying, it's very plausible that the code was on PlayStation 4 because they were in a contract to work on 2 games. They signed a 2-game contract to remake 2 games. One of them was for, when developers do this from time to time, they'll enter into a multi-project contract. And it's not necessarily over the course of time, but literally just a multi-contract. So in the days of PlayStation 3, when development turnaround was faster on making games, after you put out your first, it became easier. So like, remember, we had games on 2-year dev cycles almost for PlayStation. after the very first Uncharted, we got Uncharted 2 years later from 2007 to 2009. And then, so those kind of deals where it was 3 games over the course of 7 years or something like that, you would get those. But now, because game development is it takes a lot more time and there's more nuance with these things. If you're targeting AAA, they do multi-game projects, multi-game contracts. And so it was likely that shortly before development wrapped up on Shadow of the Colossus remake, they began prototyping stuff for Demon Souls because they already got the rights to redo that, because Sony owns the rights in Japan, right? They own the rights. They just gave publishing rights to everybody else because Shuhei got pissed off about it the very first time he play tested the game. Shuhei got so pissed he threw the PlayStation 3 controller and said, "We're not publishing this shit in over the rest of the world." And so they were left with the PlayStation 3 game that was owned by Sony, but Sony didn't want to do the thing because they didn't want to take the hit on the financial cost, because Japanese people might like the quirky, super difficult game where it could resonate there, but the Western industry is a lot more nuanced and fickle, and they don't, hardcore gamers aren't playing very difficult games anymore. They want speed, immediacy, and difficulty settings. So yeah, they want that instant gratification. So Shu made that. So like there are stories about how Shu regrets doing that because Demon Souls, he ended up loving Demon Souls once he gave the patience for it. Once he gained the patience for it. So there is no surprise that Sony said, we're going to publish Demon Souls again because we own that game. We just need to talk to, I could imagine that they even were going to work with From Software, but From Software had other plans. They're already working on Elden Ring and Dark Souls and Sekiro, and so like their schedule's packed. So Sony Japan and Bluepoint decided to, we'll pre-work on these things because you already worked with us on our PlayStation 4 and you have PlayStation 4 technology. So, you guys could do this one and we'll help guide you because we have the original codes. So it's not out of the question to say that, to say that there was a PlayStation 4 version at some point. Killzone Shadowfall, and Horizon, started work on developers will port new games, will start pre-production of games in different engines and whatnot on previous gen PlayStation. Like, not many people may know this, but like Final Fantasy 13, which was a PlayStation 3 and Xbox game, started life as a late gen PS2 game. Like when they were prototyping for that new system that they were gonna implement for 13, they were doing that in excuse me, fucking hell. They were doing that on PlayStation. They were doing that on PlayStation 2, and there's like demo footage that you could look where you could see lightning and stuff like that dancing around with Yuna and everything. And they were pre-testing stuff like that. So there's no doubt in my mind that there was some PlayStation 4 code initially in there, but at some point it just became the smart thing to double down on PlayStation 5 and release it at that, because Demon Souls is loved by everyone. The Soulsborne the Soulsborne genre is a very popular and beloved one now, and it's 33 million strong, so it doesn't make it, it made sense for them to launch one exclusively for their project. And, for people who never got a chance to play Demon Souls, it was the perfect opportunity to have, that fan base jump on and say, well, there's a Demon Souls. I never played it, but I love Dark Souls.
It was perfect. It was perfect to go back to because I was a huge Demon Souls fan back in when I played it on PS3. Speaking of Elden Ring, there's there's kind of a bit of confusion in the community about whether it's it's in the Dark Souls universe. Now, I have my own theory on this. I have my own take because people are saying that the writer was directly contradicted by the director. See, what happened was Yazukima, is it Yazukima, the director of Elden Ring? I think that's his name. He mentioned that he didn't call it Dark Souls 4 because he didn't want to limit the creative vision of the writer to strictly what Dark Souls has always been. He wasn't directly saying no to the fact that Dark Souls and Elden Ring are related, that Elden Ring is in fact a sequel, as the writer has said, and there's a way around this, right? Because when writers refer to something as world, when they use the word world, or they usually are referring to the entirety of the cosmos of that universe, like the world of Lord of the Rings, for example. You're not referring to the land of Mordor, you're referring to all the realms, yeah? When you speak of the world of Lord of the Rings. Whereas a director is speaking of like the map, the land, the realm, the area, the vicinity, though that's playable. So you just have to go back to this and kind of think, well, maybe it is set in the world of Dark Souls. It's just in a different realm or in a different land with a different lore. But the reason why it's a new IP is so the writer had a blank canvas to go nuts, because that's what they wanted. And if they'd called it Dark Souls 4, it might have subconsciously prevented the writer from trying going to new places, making things completely different, if that makes sense. But that's kind of a side note that I came across. I'm seeing a lot of people confused about this. Just wanted to kind of give my thoughts.
Awesome, dude.
Well, it's true. The word world literally means cosmos. And so when people use it loosely, it can mean different things. And if you're a writer, and the word world is a whole different meaning. It can mean literally universe. The entire, like again, the world of Lord of the Rings. You're not referring to one specific area or planet. You're referring to the universe of Lord of the Rings when you speak of the world. And that's kind of an illustration that I like to use regarding this. It's very likely or highly plausible that Elden Ring is set in the world of Dark Souls, which would be awesome, especially if there's homages and references to Dark Souls. I'm excited for Elden Ring. I don't know about you guys. I'm hyped for it.
Yeah.
Exciting times, guys.
Let me just add to what DZ was saying about exclusives.
Go for it, OT.
Like I have a bit of a theory on how Sony is working, because when the decision to make a game like let's say Miles Morales multi-platform happens years before release. Unlike GT7 being the outlier, most games, they decide this thing maybe 2 years back, 3 years back, or even at concept that this is going to be on PS4, PS5. But the way I'm looking at how Sony is operating is Sony may not have realized how successful PS5 was going to be. I think Sony PS5's attachment rate has been far better than they assumed. Like, for instance, Miles Morales is really ending up looking like an exclusive to PS5 if you base it on sales. So when Miles Morales was being conceived and these guys were going to put it on PS4 and PS5, they would never have known this. So for financial stability, I bet Sony is looking at these games and saying, okay, Miles Morales, the budget, how much are we going to use? Maybe 80 million. It needs to be multi-platform because we are scared PS5 might not have the best attachment rate and might not sell as well as we now know it has. So when you look at something like Returnal, that one, the budget isn't so big, so they're willing to say, let's make it exclusive. If you look at even Ratchet is not the same scope as something like Spider-Man. So if the budget is a bit lower, I feel Sony is saying we can make it exclusive. When the budget is too big, I feel like Sony is saying Horizon multiplat, God of War multiplat. I'm starting to see a trend budget-wise that may be guiding how they're doing it for safety purposes based on how they assumed things would go 2 years ago. But now,
that's a very astute observation, my guy, and I really think you're onto something with that. The thought did cross my mind in the past, that exact thought, but I'd never really thought too deep on it. But since you articulated it so well, it does really make a lot of sense. That and yeah, that's an amazing bombshell to finish up on. With that being said, guys, it has been an awesome show. I'm sorry I hit a bit of a blank wall halfway through when trying to talk about Abandoned. Unfortunately, guys, my schedule's just been a bit all over the place, and I've not had time to prepare as well as I should have and wanted to. Expect better. I will do better. I promise. And thank you for your patience as I'm still adjusting to this podcast and all the things that entails and involves in terms of preparation. Thought I'd finish off on a bit of Wukong gameplay for you guys. Also, I've still not been able to start streaming my own content yet, in the sense of recording my own gameplay. Primarily because I've just not had the time, if I'm honest, and I've not got a capture card yet. I'm still got a pretty low budget PC doing all of this stuff. So I figured YouTube is the next best thing. Hence the absolute shameless IGN logo right here. But thank you so much for your patience as I kind of adjust and work on trying to improve this. And thank you so much to the awesome panel tonight. I'm so grateful to you guys as always. What a show. OT, would love to hear where people can find you, my guy. If you can remember that long ass number after your name.
when I made the Twitter handle, I just put OT, and then next thing I saw, the computer just filled in the rest. So
Same with
I
Michael.
have no idea.
Well,
Yeah.
lucky for you,
Yeah,
my guy.
man.
Lucky for you, my guy. I've got your number right here. It's OT 0928.
So the chat, I don't even remember my own.
0470. Oh, that's so funny, right? Michael's got number 48 in his name, and you've got 47 in yours. So I'm going to call you Agent 47 OT, and I'm going to be calling Michael Agent 48, right? So we've got Agent 47. You can find him
cool.
at OT 0928 0470. You can literally see his name and Twitter handle in the description below. It's been an absolute blessing to have you on, my guy, and it would be an even more of a blessing to have you on again soon if you would have us, if you would grace us.
Hey, thanks so much. Definitely.
It's been hell of a
awesome,
hell of a show having you on, and you bring something really special to the show. So thank you, OT. You could always rely on you to deliver. So thank you, my man, Leviathan. What's good, brother? Is he AFK again? I think.
No, I'm back.
He's back.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show tonight, my guy. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at LeviathanGamer2.
Just that.
And then I'm going to be pretty regular on this podcast as well, so you can always just watch the podcast.
Awesome. I'll be creating a Discord, an additional public Discord, general kind of server chit chat. So if ever you have a technical question, and I'm not expecting it to blow up with question after question. Not only is these guys time limited, but also, to be honest, it's probably going to be a bit of a niche thing. So a bit more of a personal thing for people to be able to kind of touch base with, the talent on this panel and in general. And if you ever have a question like how my friend Gaming Despair, shout out to him, had about machine learning, well, you can ask away. So that's in the works, guys. That's going to be in the works for you guys to check out at some point. But thank you, Leviathan, mate, for as always being on the show. It's a real blessing, pal, and I'm grateful. We're all grateful to have you. So thank you, Michael, my dude, Michael. Thank you.
You can find me on Twitter via the link Woolies provided, I think.
You don't know
you have it
either.
in.
Yeah,
I
Agent
have no
48.
idea. Tell me
Agent
that
48, guys. You can find him.
Yeah, Agent
Michael.
48.
His handle is Michael 3879 4809. I'm not expecting any of you guys to remember this, but I'm just reading it out for courtesy's sake. You can follow his link. Yeah, Michael's very active in the Twitter community, and yeah, you can find him there. Thank you so much, Michael. You've been awesome tonight, my guy, and really appreciate it.
It's been a privilege. It's very enjoyable to be here with everyone, especially OT, and you made some amazing points there, man. Mind blowing. DC is like a bloody encyclopedia, man. he knows the depths of everything, and Leviathan as well. Very good with the intricacies of machine learning and how computational hardware works. It's very impressive, and it's been a lot of fun.
Hey, thanks, man.
DZ, speaking of DZ, mate, always, what you bring is so special and really insightful, and you've got us all excited for 2023. You've made us feel like we're all Xbox fanboys. We're just waiting for the future constantly with eager excitement. But no, thank you so much. Where can we find you?
Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure. My schedule is constantly fluctuating, but I'm happy that I was able to make it on for these last 3 shows. The podcast is something special, and I do enjoy being here. So it's always good to chop it up with you guys. It's always good to answer and give my point of view on stuff. And it's always good to hear everybody's point of views and all their passions and everything. I think this podcast struck a very awesome balance, and it's great to have such a diverse cast of people, that just does something to educate and entertain in a calm, chill way without all the extra, noise that we typically can get from other places that do it much, much better than we possibly could. So, it's been good, Wooly. Like I said, I can't thank you enough for having me on. Honestly, I would not be here and be in this position to chit chat and tease and talk about things the way that I do if it wasn't for you approaching me and making all this possible. So,
but bro, at the same time,
you
wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. Oh, it's so kind of you, my guy. But you wouldn't be here if you didn't want to be. And so I'm just as grateful to you for wanting to be here. It really means the world. And same with Leviathan, same with Michael, and same with you, OT, and same for all the chat. I mean, literally, it's been such an encouragement, like seeing the regular supporters and people new as well coming on and encouraging other people to come. And you put up with my jank, and you put up with my kind of the rustiness, because it's early days and I'm still getting to grips with all this. And yet the channel, just the chat itself is electric, and it's so positive. And thank you. I also wanted to appreciate you guys in the chat for shutting down that false news about my brother and friend Salty when it was raised. Thank you for quickly shutting that shit down, because I don't appreciate slander, and I don't like slander. And when somebody's feeding into slander about someone you care about, let alone somebody who is innocent in regards to that false accusation, and when that's being perforated and that's being kind of propagated by other people, it's not kind, and it's not something I like to see. So you're all chads, and you're all legends, and roll on the next one. And thank you again to everybody. It's been awesome. So I'll leave you with a little bit of music in the pre-show to finish off, and wish you all a good evening. Peace.
Thank you, man. So cool.
It's been awesome.